It's reckless football that'll win this.
Someone should tell the game's over. It's not worth getting yourself knocked out about.
Have a go, you big slug. Come on.
Hit the boundary line.
Yates came off the wing and went straight for Dermot Burren.
Neil Danaher comes in for the kick. And he's pulled through the runners a bit different. 1 point and 3 goals to Neil Danaher. 15-8-28. Oh, Jesselenko, you're guilty.
Ted, we won this one for you.
Then rolling towards the boundary line, and Harms almost makes credit. He tips it back to shoulder. That's a goal! Oh, what a goal!
That is the gutsiest performance I have ever seen in my life.
Hello again and welcome to Brute Footy Flashbacks. Today we take you back to, let me see, 1987 to remember a really thrilling preliminary final. It was between Hawthorn and Melbourne. The Alan Jeans coached Hawks were attempting to qualify for their 5th straight grand final. A slightly different story for John Northey's Demons, who hadn't played in the season decider since Norm Smith was back in charge, way back in 1964. But what Melbourne lacked in experience, they certainly made up for with momentum, having won their first 2 finals games against the Roos and the Swans by an aggregate, wait for this, of 194 points. Well, 2 men who played a major part in deciding the outcome of that day were Gary Buckenara and Jim Stynes, and they've returned to the scene at Waverley to help relive it all. And they're there with Neil Kearney.
2 men drawn together by history, and we're here at VFL Park. It's a very different Waverley, Jim, from 21 years ago.
Yeah, it's sun is shining, there's no breeze, and we don't have Hawthorn running around causing us problems.
Well, Gary Buckenara, we'll get to the place later on where you two share history. But for you, the Hawks at that stage, you won the premiership the year before. You're on a roll.
Pretty strong, yeah, 83, 84, 85, 86. We've been in the grand final, so...
I think he's rubbing it, Jim. He's rubbing it.
That's right. How many flags you win?
Back then, we'd lost 84 and 85, so...
Well, Jim, they called it the Irish experiment, but this was, 87 was your first year of league football.
Yeah, it all happened very fast that year. You know, I only really started playing towards the end of the year, and we got on a bit of a roll. Melbourne hadn't been in finals for about 26 years, and it all kind of, you know, got built up, and, you know, my parents were flown out, you know, for the preliminary final, and Sean White's parents were flown out, and, you know, we just had a whole lot of young kids playing. It was pretty exciting times.
Not preempting anything here, Jim, but were you well aware of the rules of the game of footy at that time?
Yeah, I've been playing for nearly 3 years, so I kind of knew what was going on, but yeah, I hadn't played in that kind of pressure, obviously, and you know, there was 85,000 people, and you know, you're playing with a bunch of guys who've dreamt their whole lives of playing the grand final, and we were on the cusp of it. You know, we went in 3/4 time, we were up by 22 points.
Another goal coming up to Wilson. Brian Wilson kicks. Goals.
The gods have been in our favour. We had the wind blowing with us for 3/4, and you know, Brereton hadn't fired a shot, and the whole load of the Hawks hadn't played well, and you know, we really were in control.
And this was Robbie Flower's 272nd game. He'd been a legend of the club.
Yes, you could say that. Yeah. As it turned out, it was his last game, unfortunately, and you know, which was really sad because you know he's given so much to the club, and had, you know, that was his first final series, and as it turned out, he never got to play in the grand final.
Yeah. How do you remember the game unfolding, Gary?
It was a windy, cold day, and I think we kicked into the wind the first quarter, and I can remember coming in at quarter time and the wind absolutely changed directions. We were kicking into the wind for the second quarter, so we really couldn't believe it. So we had a strong wind, we kicked into the breeze for 2 quarters.
So Jimmy, you're 22 points up at 3/4 time. You're looking pretty good, Melbourne, aren't you? Had a good 3 quarters?
Yeah, we were looking good, but as you know, like, I think this was just, we were young. Our first time most of us had ever played in finals. Like, I don't think we had anyone in the team who had played in the finals before. So, you know, it was big. And I remember coming in 3/4 time and the coach trying to just calm us down. But when you look back on it, it was kind of that thing where I reckon we went out not to lose rather than going out to win the game.
Guys, we're at 3/4 time. Melbourne's played well. You're 22 points up. Do you remember what the coach said at 3/4 time, Bucky?
Just keep persevering, you know, like Yabby's always was, he was pretty simple with what he said, but, you know, that day we'd struggled, we'd done it the hard way. And he really said, look, just fellas, keep persevering, because if we can win this, it'll be one of the great wins.
And for you, at three-quarter time, was just a matter of trying to keep a lid on the nerves?
Well, I think it was. I think it was more that, you know, we're in a great position, but the game's not over, and we've still got another quarter to play. But I guess the young heads started dreaming of grand finals and those kind of things. But the other thing is, I noticed when we went back out, you made a couple of key changes. Like, Bucky's probably been a bit modest, but you were put down full forward at some point. Brereton hadn't kicked it, hadn't had a possession just about, and he was taken from centre forward to centre back, which unsettled us a little bit because Sean White was on top at centre back, and the coach obviously didn't know, do we follow Brereton, do we stay back? So he actually put Sean to centre forward, which probably unsettled our back line a little bit, and obviously you got away on us and got a couple of goals, and you know, things did start to change.
Melbourne's 22 points up at three-quarter time. Let's have a look at the last quarter of the 1987 preliminary final.
1 quarter of football left to play, and Hawthorn will fight it right out to the finish. The wind coming across the ground now. Abbott in the ruck with Greg Deere off the ground. Eichhold takes it out of the centre for Melbourne. An awkward bounce, tapped on by Ricky Jackson. Jenkins there for Hawthorn. Jenkins got out, Russo out wide. He finds that player. Russo comes up towards centre wing, puts the ball up towards the half-forward line, but it's Stevens stretching the way. Plays on immediately, hooks the ball up towards the wing. Brereton now at centre-half back comes through, breaks one tackle, then another. Hand passes on to Curran, to Platten. Platten puts the ball up towards the half-forward line. Paul Deere up in the middle, but it's punched away by Hughes. Spalding gives it on, back to Spalding from Bailey. Bailey to Eichhold, and Melbourne go forward. Long kick from Eichhold. Jenke in the way, can't take the mark. Pritchard comes in, lost possession. Melbourne through Wilson, get the hand pass to Jackson. Jackson with speed. Jenke putting him under pressure. The ball's ball over the line, and the throw-in will take place. Out of bounds on the full, it won't be a throw-in. It's a Melbourne free kick to Rodney Grinter.
Well, there's Chris Langford, who made that bad mistake of kicking it off the ground, out of bounds on the full. Rodney Grinter, was good thinking by John Northey to put a player of Grinter's marking ability and size up on Gary Ayres in that forward pocket. Now let's see this. Off the ground kick. Yes, good decision that by the boundary umpire. As we see a great camera shot of this one from behind Rodney Grinter. He has to thread this one through the eye of a needle with this kick. And the way they're playing, he's likely to do that. No, doesn't quite make it. There's the ball fisted away, and it's forced through for a behind to the Melbourne side by that Hawthorn defence. I don't know about Brereton playing at centre back. I know they've got to do something, but if they're to win the game, I think he had to be on the forward line.
I do agree with you, Pete. I think it's negative attitude there as Abbott gets the ball forward to Green. Russell Green just got boot to ball in time. Morris comes back, punched away down by Bailey. He recovers, floats the kick in towards the centre of the ground. Hawthorn in the van as Swab comes out with it, plays on immediately, gets the ball forward. Green's there, he's got Buckenara. The hand pass comes over. Buckenara puts the hand pass over to Paul Deere. Paul Deere a little bit slow to get boot to ball, and he's hooked it too far. 1 point the result.
(10-13 to 7-9). They should be kicking long down to the goal square. That's the only way to play it when you're from behind. There's Hughes. Kennedy from behind, the big fist away. Gary Ayres is up on the forward line now. Back it comes to Curran. Peter Curran. A hand pass over the top to Kennedy. Kennedy dodges around. Now he's going to have a shot from the half-forward line. Paul Deere is there. He tries to smother it. Little Greg Healy heads full in the home and puts it through for a point. But, gee, they're falling down badly. The Hawks up and around the goal square area. They have not got a little man there to contest.
No, I would be more inclined to have Brereton on the forward line. But he's not a small man, let's face that. It's a lively kick from there, and the Curran comes out with it. It's been paid the mark. I think he might have been a bit lucky.
There might have been a touch to stretch there, Bob.
Curran puts the ball wide. It's all Hawthorn, and Paul Deere leaves it for John Kennedy. Kennedy is 40 metres out from goal. If Paul Deere turns around, he's on his own, but Kennedy will have the shot at goal. Only 2 kicks for the game. 7 handballs to John Kennedy. We're approaching the 4-minute mark of this quarter. There's John Kennedy. Hooks it across the face of goal. Russell Morris is there to take a nice mark. 15 metres, that's foolish. That is foolish play to knock the ball out of Morris's hands. On replay, we'll see Kennedy put it out. Morris takes a mark, and that's not where it was. If we'd have waited just a little bit longer, we would have seen the ball knocked out, and a 15-metre penalty sees it go through the centre from Russell Morris.
Well, let's not write off the Hawks yet. They're a great final side. They're on 8-10. Melbourne are on 10-13. That is only now 3 straight kicks the difference. In fact, yes, 3 straight kicks, 2 goals, 3 in fact, and that was undisciplined play. That by, was it Stephen O'Dwyer who actually knocked it out? I think it was.
I'm not sure. I think it might have been Spalding.
I think it was O'Dwyer knocked it out, but Morris, a handy goal. The next goal, very, very important. If the Hawks get it, it'll give them a lease of life. There's a hip and shoulder. Play on, said the umpire. Platten, here they come. It's kicked. A long kick it is, down towards Paul Deere. He flies for it. Danny Hughes, geez, a good, solid, dependable player under pressure, Danny Hughes, and the ball is forced to the line right in front of that little scoreboard, which says that Melbourne are on 10-13. Hawthorn 8-10. O'Dwyer being taken off the ground, probably for that bit of undisciplined play. And coming on is the Irishman, Jimmy Stynes. Here's Paul Deere. Grabs it out of the ruck. Back it comes to half-back to Eishold. Eishold gets it out to Bailey. Bailey off the ground. He's looking further afield there. And that was to Sean White. Some beautiful teamwork that. Grabbed by Eishold. Another hip and shoulder. Grabbed by Brereton. Brereton at centre half back. Loveridge has been a very, very ordinary player today. And they've missed that. Platten's battled away, but Loveridge hasn't really done the job, Bob.
Not a lot, but he's had Brett Bailey everywhere as Alan Jeans points to the situation. I wonder what he'd be saying out there. What can Jeans do as Bailey thumps it forward? Gary Ayres looks to be on the wing. Ayres, high floating kick off the side of the boot. Dean couldn't take it as Kennedy punched the ball away. The hand pass came to Newport from Campbell. Brett Lovett, I should say, not Campbell, but that's a good mark by Ayres. Straight away, he puts the ball forward, and a good, strong mark in defence. Official attendance, 71,298 people.
Danny Hughes has been terrific in defence, as normal. A long kick. Fisted away a chance for Campbell. Let's see, Di Domenico, oh, gee, cops it. Over he goes to Platten. Platten further afield to Russo. Russo wide, Morris. Oh, just took his eye off it at the splits. Oh, great tackle. Brilliant tackle, Kennedy. The punch away is by Spalding. Off he goes. That Hawthorn forward line's been well beaten today, and Spalding runs to the line, and it's out of bounds. Half back for Melbourne, half forward for Hawthorn.
I don't think that one would worry Spalding. It was worth a kick the way he brought the ball right around the boundary line, and he didn't really have anybody up forward to kick it to. John Northey having a look at this game. Up high was Curran, couldn't get the tap though. Sean White's there, beaten for it by Green. A long hand pass. Spalding takes it, tackled, got it out to Bailey though, who hooks it over the shoulder. Brereton comes from behind, takes it near the boundary line, keeps the ball in play. Good tackle by Viney, but he got the hand pass in. Abbott's kick floats towards the half-forward line, and a lovely mark to Warren Dean.
Well, a few of those Hawthorn forwards just are not competing enough. And they're not getting past that half-forward line, but full marks to the Melbourne back line. What's Dean doing down there? It's had some enormous changes in this game. Abbott, smothered, Platten. Oh, beautiful play. And the umpire said eventually it was forced by Sharon over the line. And there's been some good coaching today too. So man-on-man picking up some good, tight, hard contests. And there's been really a lot of old-fashioned football. There's kicked away by Viney. In fact, the attempted kick. Brereton, beautiful hand pass to Pritchard. Far too slow to get rid of it. Finally just gets his kick in. Loveridge, front of the pack. Schwab, beautifully done. Is that a free kick? No, said the umpire. Now it is holding the man. And it's a free kick to Peter Schwab on half-forward flag. I'll tell you what, Hawthorn get the next goal is going to be on for Juggernaut.
Certainly will be, Pete, as we watch on replay. Eishold coming in, and that's why he got the free kick. Forward he goes with a short pass, but Spalding, since quarter time, has been excellent.
As we see umpire Howlett about to bounce it. Ricky Jackson coming off. Robbie Flower coming on. I don't think Robbie's too fit. But the Melbourne supporters are rapt to see their hero back on. Here's a free kick to Hawthorn. To Schwab, half forward. Peter Schwab, off he goes. He's got the loose man in Russell Green. Green gets the bounce. Off he goes. He runs to 60 metres. He hooks it. Buckenara's there. Oh, great mark. A top mark. A brilliant mark, that. And that was, of course, by Stephen Newport.
Newport puts the ball long back towards the half-back line. No mark taken. Forced forward by Viney. He takes it well. Gets the hand pass towards Healy. On it goes to Dean. Melbourne getting out of it well as Dean puts it up towards half forward. Tuck punches it away, goes after it again. Tuck's pushed in the back and he will take the free kick. Michael Tuck will take it on centre wing. Hawthorn doing a lot of attacking but not getting much out of it as the Melbourne defence are very, very tight and strong and aggressive. 15 points the margin. Tuck from centre wing. Not a long kick. It hangs up in the air. Curran punches the ball away. Very close, in fact. It's going over the boundary line now, and the throw-in will take place. Approaching the 11-minute mark. Hawthorn 25 free kicks, Melbourne 21.
Halfway between centre wing and half forward. Paul Abbott doing the ruck work, but straight to Healy. Back it comes to Russell Green. Onto the left foot he goes. As Bobby said, they're doing a brilliant mark, Buckenara. Brilliant mark. As Bobby said, they're doing a lot of the attacking, Hawthorn. They've done all the attacking in this quarter, but boy, they're not putting the results on the scoreboard. He's
Chris Mew getting ready to come back on.
Well, that's a gutsy effort. I don't know how fit he could be coming on after that heavy knock.
Loveridge to go off.
Well, Loveridge has not played well. Buckenara. A high kick. Paul Dare. No mark. Curran kicks it. Hits the post, the behind post, that is. Now, that could be out on the full. In fact, it is out on the full. The penalty kick to be taken by Danny Hughes. Richard Loveridge, very disappointing game. And coming back on is Chris Mew.
Mew, well, he doesn't look too good, I can tell you now. He's going down to the back line. Brereton was up high, couldn't take it. Sharon comes through, drives it up towards centre wing. Sean White was there. Brian Wilson, tackled by Tuck over the line. It's a free kick against Wilson.
That's a right decision too by the umpire. He made no attempt. He was caught by Tuck. Tuck's playing well in this quarter, but there's still that enormous pressure out there, Bobby.
I can tell you now, if it gets up to the forward line, Chris Mew is not too good. Tuck puts it forward. Kennedy tried a hand pass, was tackled, taken away by Dean. Off the side of the boot. Abbott up high, takes a nice mark. Hand passes to Brereton. Brereton across to Kennedy, and he takes it at centre half forward. John Kennedy with the aid, not with the aid, with the breeze coming across his left shoulder. It'll be a good kick from there.
Abbott's doing well in this quarter, Bob.
He has done well. I can tell you now, though, I don't think Chris Mew knows he's even out on the football field.
Well, he's taken off. Well, I think he's going to bring him straight back off again. I can see Loveridge warming up. I think he's been brought on. He'll come straight off. Oh, shocking kick by Kennedy. Oh, it's coming back now. Going to just sneak in. It was off the side. The wind grabbed it. Goal.
Lovely goal by John Kennedy. Chris Mew is coming off behind players. We watch on replay. Abbott to Brereton, and a nice pass across to Kennedy, who finished with a goal as Chris Mew comes off the ground. Loveridge back on. Mew did not have a clue out there. He was really didn't know where he was.
Well, that kick by Kennedy was off the side of the boot. It was a missed kick, and the wind swung it right in for a goal.
9 points the margin. The next goal, vital of this game of football. The hand pass comes out. Brereton forces it forward. Di Pierdomenico breaks the tackle. Now comes into the centre. Di Pierdomenico's long kick towards centre half forward. Paul Dare over the top. Couldn't take the mark. A pack form. So Peter Curran lining up for his second goal. He's directly in front, 35 metres out. The kick from Curran's offline. Maybe he should have kicked it to Kennedy. 1 point to Curran as the Carlton players all have a close look at the situation. Going through their mind, they're probably saying, who will we be playing? Melbourne or Hawthorn? Stynes takes the mark. Hand passes immediately to Grinter. Grinter up towards the centre wing. Dermot Brereton, who has played well in defence in this quarter. Brereton with a hand pass. The favourable bounce for Tuck. Tuck puts it back towards the half-forward line. Kennedy stands his ground, and it's a good, courageous mark. He plays on immediately. The lead from Buckenara. Under the chest it goes.
Well, the Hawks are really on fire at the moment. They're well on top. Gary Ayres has ducked back. Oh, here's danger. Ayres is back there. Here's a great overhead mark. Ayres couldn't take it. Here's a chance for Paul Deere. In goes Kennedy. Morris smothered. It's in the goal square. Tremendous pressure on.
Wonderful defence by Melbourne.
It certainly was great defence by the Melbourne players. They dived on the ball. Look at that for Daddy Hughes. Morris, look the goal. Eichel dived on it. Tremendous play, Melbourne.
Bounce in the centre square. Ayres grabs it, snaps towards goal. 1 point the result.
Well, those coaching moves by Alan Jeans, which
They've really come off
we
because
did not like
Brereton has done well at centre half-back.
That's right, and I didn't like them at the time. Flowers back off the ground. He wasn't fit. I think he's done some ribs. Enormous pressure. The difference now is 8 points, Bob.
Lovely kick from Danny Hughes. Punched away. Melbourne coming through. Bailey gets it out to Newport. He spilled it, but he gets good support from Stretch. On to Bailey. Bailey puts the left foot forward. Dean there to take the mark. Plays on immediately. He's got Wilson. It's a Wilson and Tuck. Wilson at the back. An awkward bounce. Tump found by Campbell. Can Wilson get there with a boot off the ground, but 1 point only.
19 minutes. Final quarter. John Northey looks a worried man now. And no wonder. His players have led Hawthorn to the ball all day. They've played a great day. And look at Hawthorn with their experience. Straight up the middle of the ground again. But the only one there is Simon Eichel. Play on, said the umpire. Peter Schwab. Chris Langford. Off he goes to Platten. Platten and Sharon. And Ayres. Oh, Ayres, magnificent smother. Shepherding, I should say. Look at little Platten. He's got it. He's got a loose man. Richard Loveridge. Marks. Off he goes. Paul Deere. Daddy Hughes. Paul Deere is marked. Paul Deere has marked. Forward pocket. 8 metres out for goal. He plays on stupidly, Paul Deere. Ridiculous play, Paul Deere. And the Melbourne, that could cost them the game. A shocking play as he took the mark, the young fella, and he was only on a slight angle. There's still a Platten caught. Is that holding the ball? No, said umpire Ian Robinson. But, oh, boy, that young kid will never forget that decision in a million years.
Well, the result of the game will be what Paul Deere will be wondering about. But at this moment, 9 points the margin. A great game we've got as Melbourne go towards the boundary. The big fellow Stynes puts it over, and Melbourne still lead by 9 points. 21 minutes we're approaching, and Melbourne lead by 9 points. 2 scoring shots at least needed by Hawthorn. Stynes takes it, puts the ball back. Abbott comes through, didn't take it. Pritchard's there for Hawthorn, trying to tap the ball back, but the umpire comes in to signify that he will bounce the ball, and that bounce will take place across the half-forward line. We're approaching the 21-minute mark. About 7 or 8 minutes of football left in this game. From the bounce, Stynes is up high. Curran gets a short kick, intercepted by Stretch. Across the ground it comes. Leading in the race for the ball is Langford. Langford gets a hand pass over, looking for Russell Green. Green back to Langford. Will he get a good bounce? Yes, he does. Langford steadies, drives the ball over the half-forward line. Deere in front. A lovely mark this time to Paul Deere.
That's 15, I think. Yes, it's 15 against Stynes. Very undisciplined play, Jim Stynes. That was 15, and Paul Deere, he's got a chance to make up for a moment ago, the young fella. I can imagine the pressure on this kick, Bob. How would you feel, eh?
How would you feel? Only a youngster, Paul Deere. The kick to goal as he hooked it. 1 point the result.
It's a fantastic comeback, this by Hawthorn. I think it just shows what guts that the Hawthorn side has got.
Certainly does, Pete. Melbourne fighting all the way, though. Desperate to make that grand final. Curran was up high. Stretch taps the ball forward. Got a bad bounce. Brett Bailey's there. The hand pass to Healy. Back to Viney. Viney on to Stretch. Great effort by Melbourne as the long kick comes out of the forward line. It bounces awkwardly for Brereton this time. Dean takes it. Breaks the tackle. Warren Dean goes short across the ground. Wilson couldn't take it. Yates has got the man there. Beautifully smothered by Tuck. In comes Michael Tuck's there, trying to tap the ball out. Does so, and we find Langford. So too White. Both players showing the tremendous courage, and it's over the line for a throw-in on Melbourne's half-forward line. 67-75, 8 points the margin.
Well, at the moment, you'd have to favour Melbourne or Brian Wilson. This is bad news. He's hurt himself badly. Even if they win today, they're going to have some injuries for next week. Wilson, Flower, and if they have to go into against Carlton without those two, and what a task. Look at Brian Wilson. He's hurt his shoulder badly, I would say. 8 points the difference. 23 minutes gone. Final corner. White to Langford. Chris Langford. A hurried kick. Newport. Oh, hooked out. Almost a throw. To Kennedy. Kennedy to Curran. Over the back. Platten. Grabbed by Jimmy Stynes. And a long kick. That's the way to play it. Dermot Abbott has been a fantastic player in this quarter. Over to Langford. Langford. Morris. Spalding. Oh, they're putting in their guts. Morris. Over to Paul Deere. Oh, it's Jenke. Jenke. Buckenara. Buckenara's marked 30 metres from goal, and we must remember Buckenara is one of the best kicks for goal in league football. If he kicks it, if he kicks his goal, they will be 2 points down. Gary Buckenara, he kicks. Oh, hit the post. Oh, what else are we going to see today, Bob?
Well, if ever a side is meant to win a game of football, maybe it's Melbourne, as they lead by 7 points. Danny Hughes brings the ball back. It's a good long kick. Punch down the ground. Newport takes it, puts it towards centre wing. Warren Dean does it, loses possession. Coming through was Russo. He too loses it. Viney's tackled. Which way will it go? Bounce of the ball, says the umpire, on centre wing. Approaching the 25-minute mark. Melbourne lead by 7 points.
Gee, they've had their chances, the Hawks, Bob. They really couldn't get that goal to get within a couple of points, but boy, it's been a big-hearted effort. There's Jackson. Look at the pace of Jackson. He runs, he sprints, he bounces. This is magnificent football. This will be the winning goal, I think. Yates into the open goal goes Graham Yates. He's hooked it. He's missed. Oh boy, Hawthorn live again.
First one side, then the other, with points on the board from what looked like certain goals. But nonetheless, Hawthorn still need at least 2 scoring shots. Michael Tuck prepares to bring the ball back into play. Into time on by nearly 30 seconds. Abbott was up, tapped on again. Yes is in there. Melbourne tapped the ball out. Russo with a hand pass out wide. It's a free kick to Melbourne. Called play on by the umpire. How he missed that, I do not know. Punched away. Spalding couldn't take it. Picked up in the centre by Stretch. Stretch forces the ball forward. It's picked up by Warren Dean. He's got a loose man out there in Yates. So too Healy. Healy shepherded by Yates. A good piece of play. And Greg Healy from 50 metres out. Down towards the square. Can it be taken from Melbourne? Yes! Eichhold takes the mark. Simon Eichhold with the chance of sewing the game up for Melbourne. From behind on replay, Eichhold takes a lovely mark. Eichhold spent most of the day on the interchange. Has the chance of being the hero. They lead by 8 points at the moment. A goal would probably seal the game. 26 and a half minutes have gone. Look at the pressure on young Simon Eichhold, the boy from Ormond, 20 years of age. Simon Eichhold, oh, it's 1 point, he's hooked it. Look at the pressure on those players.
Well, I think, Bobby, nearly 2 minutes gone in time on. Can the Hawks come back? A goal and make a goal now to Hawthorn, and this is going to be a sensational finish. I think the time might run out for them, though, as the clock ticks away. Curran, great courage. Off the ground. Here comes Langford. Oh, here's their chance. Green and Platten. Russell Green. He's got it. Morris. Handball. Platten. In he goes. The ball comes loose. Paul Deere. Handball. Goal. Buckenara. And the Hawks are in it.
Buckenara's fourth goal, and the margin between the sides, 3 points. Only one kick in this game. Whoever gets it out of the centre, what a piece of football it'll be. 27 and a half minutes have gone on replay. Over the top it comes from Paul Deere to Buckenara, and it's a 3-point margin between the sides.
The difference, 3 points in favour of Melbourne. Can the Hawks, it would be a sensational victory for them because they've showed enormous courage. Oh, smothered away from Schwab. Greg Healy to half forward. Brereton, Campbell gets away. He kicks, he misses. So Hawthorn live again.
But from a Melbourne point of view, Pete, it's at the right end of the ground. Hawthorn have to come all the way down the ground. 28 and a half minutes have gone. Alan Jeans has a close look at the situation. The long kick taken by Swab, plays on. Langford comes out with the ball, drives it down. Buckenara trip. Buckenara's free kick. Siren sounds. There's the siren, and he's got a kick from 55 metres out. I don't think they...
It's 15 metres! 15! What pressure on Gary Buckenara. He is a champion. He is a great kick. If he kicks this goal, Hawthorn are in the grand final.
The umpires haven't heard it yet, I don't think.
If he kicks this goal, Hawthorn are in the 1987 grand final. If he misses, Melbourne are in. There's the kick. It's a goal. It's a goal. Hawthorn have won with a kick after the siren. What a performance. A magnificent performance this by Hawthorn. Poor old Melbourne. You've got to, the hearts go out to the Melbourne Football Club. Stephen Stretch can't believe it, but there's the character. That was a courageous win, that by Hawthorn. They were down and out, Bob.
Well, look at the expression on the fans. Look at Earl Spalding. Melbourne players absolutely demoralised. Hawthorn, understandably, well, they're over the moon. A magnificent fight back, but you must feel for those Melbourne players. They were absolutely superb in defeat. Well, I can understand how they must feel. Inexperience in many cases, but, well, Hawthorn's comeback, absolutely magnificent. They've earned the right to meet Carlton next week. A fairy tale end comes to an end as Melbourne beaten, certainly beaten but not disgraced. Melbourne, in many respects, deserves to be there next week. They can hold their head high. They were great in defeat. John Northey, superb as a coach of Melbourne. But what a magnificent fight back, Pete.
Well, it was a fantastic effort by both sides.
What a pressure kick.
I'll never forget that. As long as I've been covering football, Gary Buckenara proved himself a true champion. He kicked 5 goals. He had to kick that, but I really believe that 15-metre penalty made all the difference to that kick. I doubt whether he would have kicked it from where he was, Bob.
No doubt about that.
And that just shows you that, you know, a little bit of undisciplined play can cost you, but let's not worry about that. Let's thank and congratulate every player that was out there. That man there carried a wrist injury, Dippier, a minute ago, stayed on the ground. Flower came back on, Mew came back on. But I'll tell you what, full marks to Hawthorn because they were down and out, and Alan Jeans, brave moves. They came off. We didn't like them, but I'll tell you what, they came off because of the character of the Hawthorn players.
They did come off. Paul Abbott was magnificent in that last quarter. Tony Campbell, well, I can understand. If there are tears, who would blame them? They had their chances, but then so too did Hawthorn. Both sides missed opportunities during that magnificent last quarter. It's been a wonderful preliminary final, and, well, Melbourne bow out of the 1987 season in what you could term sensational situations. 28 scoring shots to 25 in their favour.
What a game. What happened?
Right about just before the siren, Rod Grinter pushed me in the back and I got a free kick on the 50. Going back to take the kick and got a 15-metre penalty, which helped.
And Jimmy?
I was going to say, pity didn't just end there. Push in the back. we would have been right. And pity wasn't about 65 there. But you know, that's footy, isn't it? You know, I was just, you know, as it turned out, I knew, you know, the ball was kicked out really long, as we saw from Tucky, and I was just getting back. You know, as a ruckman, you're always trying to drop in and fill the hole, and I remember running down and I saw Big Dipper shouting from about 30 out, you know, doing the kick it to me, kick it to me. I thought, you know, instinct was, you know, I've looked around, no one's on him, quick, go pick him up, and as soon as I darted for him, I knew I'd ran through the mark, and, you know, like you do when you're in sort of primary school and you do something really stupid, you kind of look around really slowly to see if anyone was watching, and you're hoping no one saw it. And unfortunately, the umpire was I must have been about 3 metres away, and he looked me straight in the eye and blew the whistle, and look, I must admit, I take my hat off to him because it was a gutsy call, and a lot of umpires could have easily have just ignored it. And, you know, just because it's a tough decision to make, but he made it, and, you know, it's history, and Bucky had all the pressure in the world on his shoulders to kick it, and...
it was the wrong man to have the ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, and, you know, and obviously I was hoping he was going to miss too. I thought, well, there's a bit of pressure on this one, but not this kick. It's just well and truly post high. And
it was such a quick... It all happened so quickly that the TV cameras didn't even really catch it until the slow motion. Otherwise, you might never have been noticed.
No, and even slow motion didn't really get me going through the mark. It just got me running past Bucky. But, because I really only just jumped across in front of Rod, who was right on the mark. So technically, he might have been a couple of metres back at the time, but it was just, and it was one of those ones where the ball was it was being thrown to you. So we're not even sure if you had it in your hands when I actually ran through, because I think you didn't have the ball when you see him walking backwards. But anyway, that's life. And it's,
I guess the most memorable image is that photo of John Northey looking at you.
Yeah, it's pretty memorable. Yeah, I think my, it's funny because the guy who took that photo, you know, he was a little curly-haired guy, I won't call him any other names. He was just sitting in the corner, and he happened to catch that moment, which was obviously full of emotion and that, and I think he won an award for it. But as it turned out, I ended up marrying his sister a number of years later, quite a few years later. So I'd met her and I needed a phone number because she wouldn't give me hers. So I rang him up and said, mate, you owe me one after that photograph. But that's all part of history. But yeah, it was just a very emotionally filled moment. And, you know, back in those days, it was all fire and brimstone. And, you know, John was just being John, you know, just sort of letting out a bit of steam. And it really could have said anything, it wouldn't have mattered, you know. It was kind of, I knew it was my fault. I was devastated like everyone else. And
lesser men might not have come back from that. Jim, you won the Brownlow 4 years later and played a record number of consecutive games. It was a pretty big effort to come back from that, wasn't it?
Great example, yeah, fantastic. And what Jim achieved in his footy career was absolutely terrific. And, you know, being an Irishman to do what he's done in Australian rules football is a great story. And
do you want to swap?
Huh?
Can I have some of those premiership medallions? You can have the mark and the Brownlow.
Okay. No, I think I'll keep what I got.
Yeah. And also what you've done in life since. I mean, with the Reach organisation, what you've done for the young people. I mean, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about the Reach organisation.
Yeah, well, I suppose in the middle of my footy career, I had the pleasure of working with some young people, and we built this foundation over the last 14 years. So we're now right across Australia, and we basically encourage young people to believe that no matter what their circumstances, they can achieve. So, you know, we get all sorts of kids who've had really good upbringings to those who are really challenged, and we mix them all together, and we create a really unique culture. And it's amazing watching some of these young spirits really soar and go after things they really want, like what we've been able to do. I'd say we've been really blessed with the lives we've had, but not all young people get those kind of opportunities.
And Gary, you finished up how far out from goal when you had to kick for goal?
Oh, I would have been around about 35 metres the mark, so I probably kicked from about 40.
Would you ever going to miss it?
Well, I didn't really think of that at the time.
No.
You know, thankfully, I didn't think of that. Although Russell Green put his arm around me just before I was going to take the kick and said, "For God's sake, Bucky, kick the goal. The siren's gone." So, I don't recommend that players do that in future because it does put a little bit of extra pressure on.
It was 21 years ago, but do you reckon the wind's still a bit icy out here at Waverley? Do you reckon you could kick it now?
Yeah, I think we'll have a go at it. Although, you know, I'm nearly 50, wearing long pants, and
Can I
probably
stand on the mark this time?
carrying 15 kilos plus GST.
That's a fair loading. Jim's going to go on the mark, and maybe Jim could run across the mark just so you got a little bit of
I'm not
Jim's
going
on
to
the
do that
mark.
again.
He's
No,
on the mark.
I've learned from the first mistake.
Okay, let's see. Take two. Let's see if he can kick the goal this time.
If he kicks this goal, Hawthorn are in the 1987 grand final.
Thought about a tour, but then changed to a drop punt.
If he misses, Melbourne are in. There's the kick. It's a goal. It's a goal. Does it make the distance?
That was a shocking kick.
Really,
I reckon a 10-year-old could kick further than that. Ah, well.
It doesn't matter what happens today, it's what happened back in those days. It's good. Good to remember.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
So Bucky couldn't get the distance 21 years later, but unfortunately for the D's, history still says they lost all those years ago. Good to see, though, that the boys were able to finish it all off with a hug and stay friends. Well, Hawthorn was brought back to earth the following week as Carlton claimed the 87 premiership flag. For the D's, that elusive grand final berth came the very next year, only for them to go down once again to Hawthorn. The 1987 preliminary final certainly was a classic. And if you'd like a copy, then head to sportsdelivered.com.au, where you can purchase games from the current or previous seasons. Right now, though, it's time to head back to the present as the 2009 home and away season draws to a close with Melbourne and St Kilda squaring off at the MCG right here on 7.